Alright, so today is December 27th of 2022, and I'm up in the main salon, or saloon, if you'd rather, and it's a mess up here. But I've been working on the settee here, and I thought I would explain what's happening here. This is the way the cats spend most of their days, in their own little sleeping quarters. Okay, so what this is down here, this is like 11¼ inches high off the floor. And that is going to be the raised part of the settee, so that'll be a footrest here. And this patchwork of plywood around there it's for storage. It's just to keep things from falling out into the bilge. And I'll probably put hatches, like a 10-inch hatch that opens up here. And on the ends here, depending on what I do, if I just put a couch, the whole length here, or if I make it L-shaped, have a seating area on this end and a seating area on this end, or one or both ends, I don't know for sure yet. But what I'll do is I'll put a piece of plywood down over the whole thing here, except that little 10-inch swath along here. That'll be for opening up and getting in for storage. Canned food, dry goods, whatnot. It'll be a nice area for all that. But once I get that plywood on all the rest of that area, and then we're going to build up to the, you can see maybe the marks there going along there. That will be the level of the top of the, not the top, but the plywood that'll form the seat for the settee. And so then that'll come out here, and then that'll be footrest area down here. A couple things that does: one, it gives you more storage area. This area down here is all extra bonus storage, simply because we're raising it that foot. And that's a lot of storage for free, basically. But then underneath the settee itself, you're still going to have all that storage underneath there, because there's going to be another plywood, deck on here. So things, the seat can pull up, and all that is storage too. But I don't know how I'm going to configure it just yet. Like I said, I wanted to do a couple end seats, and then a couple seats in the middle, and then the table here. We'll see how that works out once I get this plywood on here and kind of mock things up to see if that's what I want to do or not. If I do that, and I'm not going to be able to access this from above, I would have to cut an access port in the side here, which is in as well here, which is fine if I do it that way. But I decided I better get it painted now before I try getting this plywood on here. And I got a little USB fan here circulating the air through there. I discovered earlier when I built it, I think the battery box, that if you paint an airtight box like that, the fumes stay inside the box, and it doesn't, the paint doesn't dry. It was amazing. I left it sit 12 hours or whatever, and came back out, and the paint was just as wet as when I put it on. Put a little fan on there to keep some air circulating through there, and it was drying in several hours. Yeah, but anyway, that's what we got going here. I want to make sure I still leave some gaps back there for air circulation. I don't want the bilge totally sealed off. I want some air to be able to flow up through these. So I'll have to deal with that. I'll probably have to put some, kind of like what I did here, put some backs into the storage area, but not quite all the way to the hull, so I still got some air flowing up through there. I don't know, we'll see how that goes when I get to it, but that's about all I've been doing. And it hasn't been that I haven't been around to get anything done. It's Christmas Day, I was sick all day. I had a migraine, one of the worst migraines I've had. I only have migraines every X number of years. I mean, it's 3, 4, 5 years between migraines, but when I get them, it's bad. And then, of course, we've had this huge storm that's rolled through the... I was snowed in for a week. I just got out yesterday. Yeah, it was a major storm. Fortunately, we didn't get just huge amounts of snow, so I didn't have 10 feet of snow to drifts to fight through, just 5 and 6 feet of snow drifts to dig out of. Whoops, there I go, I just knocked it over. Gotta pay attention to what I'm doing here. But yeah, I get this done, and we're getting, you know, closer to having things configured in here. Then I'll probably start working on my center island here, get that positioned, and then I, you know, get some of my tools and stuff out of here, at least to a certain extent. And we'll see about where I go with these cabins here. I might go aft and work in that aft stateroom. That's going to be the big job. Getting the bathroom and the shower and everything, and the beds, the bunks built back there. But yeah, we'll see. But that's kind of what we're looking at this winter, is inside work, and it's actually nice and warm in here. We got the heat on in the shop. It's 60 degrees, 60.8 degrees at the workbench level, and it's 70 degrees in here. 36% humidity up here, so yeah, pretty good conditions for drying paint and glue and whatnot. But it's a little warmer. It was 18 below we had for a low, and then 9 or 10 below or 12 below for a high during the day. For a couple days it was miserable. But it's 22 degrees out today, so it's not as bad as it has been. Thinking about other things, I pulled out some of my wiring stuff, thinking about getting some of that started. But got to make a decision there as to where that goes. Got my range hooked up to gas, got my regulator and stuff, and I just set a tank up down below, and got my range fired up to make sure that was all working properly. But yeah, other than that, there isn't really a whole lot going on. But anyway, I just thought I'd do a little update here and kind of show this settee, what I was doing in the initial stages of this anyway. Are you guys friends? Yeah. I don't know why that cat likes you. You've terrorized that cat in the past. Yes, you have. You terrorized that cat. Okay, anyway, it's still the 27th of December, and I thought while I had this still set up, I would show pattern making. What I went through to do this pattern. I started out, I measured out my 10 inches here along there, so that plywood will end here, and then I'll hinge it, you know, and put doors on here, or doors in the front if I decide to put seats on the ends. But anyways, so then I got this piece established, and then I started cutting these pieces. I left a 2.5 inch gap between the hull and the end of the pattern there, and you can see I put points on there. I cut those all at 22.5 degrees, so there's a point there. Then I've got an A there, and then over here there's another one that comes to a point with an A on it, and that point is 2.5 inches from the hull. So when I put numbers or letters like that, and there's B's, and then there's C's, and then there's D's, that means you draw, when I lay this out in the plywood, you'll draw a line between that point A and that point A there. It sometimes works out better than trying to cut a piece, you know, exactly to fit in there. That's tedious, kind of hard to do sometimes. But I did put a cross piece in there then for more support, so that the thing doesn't rack or move. And I also put pieces in here, which of course is going to be that's going to be the cut line of the plywood, so it's going to cut out to go around those gussets there. And I did that across the board here, and I had it clamped in place to hold it. Oh, sorry. Yep. That was in the works. So I clamped it in place as I was doing that, so it didn't move. And this is all hot glued. And I do recycle these pieces where I can. You can see here's where I pulled them apart. There's another one where I pulled apart. All these small ones are recycled pieces. And I just used the other side that wasn't glued, you know, to put the new glue joint on where, you know, I have issues with it there. Now, I don't know if this is going to fit out of here or not. It's about 28 inches at its widest. I think I'll be able to get the pattern out of here, but whether I'll be able to get the actual piece back up in here, I'm not sure. I've got just about exactly 28 inches diagonally in this opening here, so I may be able to get it wedged up in through there. It may not. I don't know. But I think I'll be able to get this piece out. If nothing else, I can kind of move around because those points are extended out a little bit. I got a little bit of room. I could maybe wiggle it through there. But that's pattern, and that's about the only way to make a pattern when you're doing something like this. It takes a lot of intricate cutting. There's no way you'd be able to. Yeah, it wouldn't be worth trying to measure it all and plot it all out. I don't think you could even do it. I don't think it would work trying to make measurements for all this. But making a pattern like this, and if the pattern is rigid enough, sometimes I'll put, or normally on bigger ones, I'll put cross pieces, diagonals in on the ends there too to stiffen it up. But I think I've got enough pieces in here that it's going to be plenty stiff. Providing I can get it slid out of here now. It should come out though, I think. But when I go to put the other piece in, it may take a little sanding here and there to make it slide in. I don't know. We'll see. Normally it works pretty good. What I do when I trace this pattern out on the wood then, I cut the line. I actually cut right down the center of the line. And generally speaking, that makes the cut just a smidgen wider than what it needs to be. So it gives me just that extra, 64th or whatever it is of an inch. Extra wider cut, so it makes it a little easier to fit things in then. All right, anyway, that's just a little addendum to my earlier video. Just a real quick update. It's the day after, the next day, from when I said I was going to work on this, and I got the piece cut that I made that pattern for. And it fit reasonably well. I had two little corners I had to trim. One of them was because of a bolt that goes through there. The head of the bolt sticks out, a little bit there, and that was the problem there. So I just opened that up a little bit, and then this corner here was just a little flared out at the end for some reason. Trimmed that off. Anyway, so that went in all right. And then I got my 10-inch opening for storage in there. And I decided I better cover up these gussets here. So I just put some 1/4-inch plywood, just tacked it on there. That's to keep stuff what's being stored in there from falling down in there, which wouldn't really hurt anything. It would just go down in here. But anyway, I covered those up, and then I put these backs on. And again, this is just to keep stuff from falling down into the bilge. And there's a nice gap back there. I made this square to the, I don't know. I could have just as well angled it back, I guess, but I made it square to the deck here, the inside. So the next part's going to be framing up the actual seat area, and so I'll need to probably do a little bit of a mock-up to see what I want to do here before I make a final decision on it, whether I want to just put a straight couch or put kind of a U shape in. Still think I'd prefer the U shape, but yeah, we'll see how that works when I go to lay it out a little bit. I'll probably get a cleat in along there and then get a piece of plywood up here and see what I think. But yeah, I put cleats in behind these because there was really no other way to hold that on there. And of course those cleats got in the way of a lot of the bolts for those knees, or for the gussets. So I had to pull bolts out and re-drill holes, and in some cases where I couldn't get a bolt back in again, I put a dowel in. I glued a dowel in there. But usually put bolts back in one way or the other. In some cases the bolts are actually buried. The heads of the bolts I drilled a little bit and then ran the bolts in there. But really these bolts don't even need to be bolts. I mean, they're pins is what they are. As long as they don't come out, it's not really going to matter. But yeah, so that part's done, and I was thinking about trying to get it primed tonight, but I might wait until I got that that cleat that runs along the length here, get that on first, and then yeah, cats everywhere. Get that cleat on there, and then do some priming. Maybe I'll frame it up first. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, that's just a little update on how that went. So, today is January 30th, and a little progress on the settee here. You can see I got the framing in around there to, that's going to be all storage under there from about here on over. That whole area there is going to be storage under the seating. I determined I don't have enough room to put the L shape, a seat on either end. I thought about maybe trying to squeeze one in on this end because it's just a little bit wider on this end, but it really isn't going to work. So, in lieu of that, I may come up with some other idea. I may bring, when the table's in here, I may keep a couple of folding bar stool type chairs that I could use for a couple extra seats here, so everybody's not just sitting in a row over there. But I really want this to be long enough to sleep on too, so that's fine. Just being a single straight shot there, I guess. Yeah, so the problem is, or the thing I've been dealing with here is working on some cabinetry now. I really need a better way to cut straight shots in this plywood. And so I ordered a circular saw cutting track. And it's supposed to be here Wednesday, so I think I'm going to hold off on doing any more work here until then. I've been doing a little cleaning in the shop, organizing, getting things cleaned up and organized. It needs it, so we'll get that done over the next couple days, and then I'll probably start on some other projects, get a little other work done. I got everything underneath here coated in on the outside, the external surfaces that aren't painted. I got them all coated in that copper naphthenate. So that's ready to go. And then this piece here, I was kind of debating on this, and I did screw up a little bit here. This is going to be the actual height of the seating area. And of course the cushion will sit on top there, but I need to bring it up just a little higher so I can create a little fiddle or what have you to hold the cushion in place. So this actually needs to be a little higher than that, but yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But I was thinking about, I've got some oak plywood, some 3/4 inch oak that I was going to use for some of the interior work so I could finish it naturally. So I don't know. I think this area over here is probably going to be a couple of cabinets. I don't know for sure yet, but I was going to put the oak plywood in the front here, and I was wondering if I should make this in oak too then, but I don't think it's going to be exposed. Yeah, it probably might. Yeah, it might be to a certain extent. Depends on how I build the cabinets in there if if I put shelves or doors on there or what I do. But anyway, so yeah, so we're gonna hold off on this for a few days. And for what it's worth, when I cut this piece out, I talked about maybe having a hard time getting it in here, and I did get the pattern out all right, but getting it back in here did not work. So I had to cut a hole in my plastic up here and bring it in over the top, which is what I was afraid of. But so hopefully I don't have any drips. And it doesn't usually drip. I mean, it's not every day that I get dripping in here. It's really only when we get really cold weather, when I get some frost on the upper layer, on the inside of that steel on the roof there. And then the next day the sun comes out and it warms up a little bit, and then it thaws and it drips. So yeah, we got a hole up here. I don't know, I have seen where you can buy like zippers, adhesive zippers for plastic and stuff, but I don't know if I need to go to that extreme or not. But anyway, that was just a quick little update on what I've got going here and what's going to be going on for the next few days.